They're called forever chemicals, and they're in our air, our soil, and our water. They've been linked to serious health risks, including cancer, infertility, organ damage. Despite the danger, federal limits on these chemicals won't take full effect until 2031. CBN's Brody Carter brings us this report.
This water looks pristine. People swim in it, fish in it, some even drink from it. But the Cape Fear River beneath the surface is seen as one of the most toxic rivers in all of America. Neighbors, residents, environmentalists point upstream to the Chemours Fayetteville plant, where they've been dumping toxic sludge into the river for decades.
At first, we just didn't think it was real. We became aware that there was PFAS in our well water in 2022, which was 5 years after we became aware that there was a PFAS problem in the river here in Wilmington.
These synthetic chemicals, used for decades in everything from cookware to cosmetics, have left a toxic legacy across America. For Ty Jacobus, owner of Honeybird Organic Farm, that legacy literally flows through his backyard. The Cape Fear River watershed, a 200-mile lifeline for communities, has been considered a chemical dumping ground for more than 40 years. First from DuPont, the makers of Teflon, and now its spin-off, Chemours.
We got rid of our chickens, shut down sales immediately, and then I went to work on operations, getting everything cleaned up.
His once thriving farm now sits vacant. Poisoned water contaminated his crops, animals, and even their eggs, which tested at 225 times the federal safety guideline.
According to the EPA, drinking water should have PFAS below 4 parts per trillion. But legal doesn't necessarily mean safe, which means millions of people are still drinking contaminated water. Some communities facing much higher contamination rates. And you should know, it's not just in the water.
PFAS are everywhere, in everything, and in all of us.
Short for per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, PFAS are a family of more than 15,000 synthetic chemicals. Praised for their non-stick and stain-resistant properties, they're also nearly indestructible, earning the name Forever Chemicals.
Science is saying this is a bad group of chemicals. Useful, but dangerous.
Dr. Linda Birnbaum, scientist emeritus at the National Institutes of Health Sciences, explains the problem like this. PFAS are built on a bond so strong it doesn't occur in nature and resists breaking down.
These chemicals are going to be with us forever, which is why they're called forever chemicals.
Yeah.
Jacobus discovered that even farming organically couldn't protect him from decades-old contamination, hidden until a 2019 investigation brought it to light.
I have been trying to sell my house. I am below DEQ levels, but since my neighbors are highly contaminated, I cannot sell my home. Are y'all going to buy my house?
I understand you're frustrated.
Under a 2019 legal agreement, the Chemours Fayetteville plant is required to track and reduce PFAS compounds from polluting the air, soil, and water, although scientists have found more than 300 chemicals still in the Cape Fear River.
The groundwater is impossible to clean. So what we've done is try to provide filtration to folks whose groundwater is contaminated. You know, a lot of people fall through the cracks, Ty being one of them. He didn't sample for the chemicals that the consent order covers. He sampled for chemicals that DuPont made, and DuPont is no longer the name of the company. It's now Chemours, so they're not liable for those DuPont chemicals, which is absolutely abhorrent.
Dana Sargent, formerly with the Cape Fear River Watch, has worked to protect the waterways for years.
We're sitting, you know, in front of the river that has 350 chemicals in it. This community was taken by complete surprise. All of the locals, people that live here and that have lived here and have had generations that have lived here, then they're wondering, oh wait, was that cancer because of that? Should I be feeding this to my baby?
She adds this kind of contamination isn't isolated, and a map from the Environmental Working Group indicates PFAS pollution in communities worldwide. Studies have linked PFAS exposure to increased risks of cancer, infertility, thyroid issues, immune suppression, and organ damage. Investigative journalist Mariah Blake has spent years uncovering the worldwide spread.
And in fact, the U.S. government researched them as part of this top secret medical research program that happened under the Manhattan Project. And they knew as early as 1947 that they were highly toxic and that they were accumulating in human blood.
Blake's book, They Poisoned the World, traces PFAS back to the World War II Manhattan Project. The same chemicals used to enrich uranium then became firefighting foam, spreading across military bases and airports for decades.
Military bases are some of the most contaminated sites anywhere in the world. And in fact, the levels of PFAS in the groundwater around these sites is not only 1,000 times the EPA safety limit, it's oftentimes 1,000,000 times the EPA safety limit.
Despite the EPA recently moved to roll back PFAS regulations, that includes delaying enforcement, reducing staff, and considering a rule to block states from enacting their own bans. Critics say this violates the Safe Drinking Water Act and puts communities at greater risk. In a statement to CBN News, the EPA said it's committed to addressing PFAS in drinking water and ensuring actions follow the law, follow the science, while it's keeping rules for older PFAS chemicals like PFOA and PFOS, which are no longer made in the U.S. It's rolling back regulations on newer, still-produced chemicals like Gen X, citing legal procedural issues. Still, critics say that move gives industry more room to keep producing these toxic chemicals. The Chemours plant denied our request for an interview.
If a company comes under pressure to phase out one chemical, they often just replace it with another chemical that has similar structures and properties, but that hasn't been vetted for safety. And that chemical often ends up being just as harmful.
Still, more than 30 states have passed some 150 bills restricting PFAS, including 18 full or partial bans on consumer products. Companies like 3M have also committed to phase out these chemicals by the end of this year. Today, Ty Jacobus' farm is PFAS-free, although it took years of self-education and thousands of dollars to get here. While federal standards remain years away, communities nationwide are coming together to seek clean water, accountability, and a safer future.
I do think a lot of it's money. I think what eventually makes a difference is getting people to know and getting people to care. The market basket speaks. When people no longer want a product, and that will lead to change.
Reporting in Wilmington, North Carolina, Brody Carter, CBN News.
And that is a wonderful word. The market basket does speak, and it speaks very loudly to companies. But they have these lobbyists that are highly funded, and they're able to get things done at the federal government that the average citizen can't. Let's get educated on these permanent chemicals. My take on it is we shouldn't create things that we don't know the ultimate effect, and whether that's in one generation or 2 generations or 3 generations. Let's hold back on creating things that don't occur naturally. And if it's not in nature, then our biology, it just doesn't tolerate it. Why in the world would you put that into the environment? Why would you put that into drinking water or groundwater? The old promise, and it's an old promise, it's become a joke now, better living through chemistry. And it's just not happening. And let's get educated, watch what you eat, because if you watch what you drink, watch what's in your groundwater, watch what's in the rivers around you, the ocean around you. Make sure that you're protecting yourself, your children, and your grandchildren, and vote with your pocketbook. Don't buy it, don't participate in it, and maybe the government will wake up and say, well, maybe we need more regulation on this, and not have forever chemicals that never, ever go away. The bonds are just too strong. This isn't something we should have, let alone at concentration levels that we're seeing. So get informed and be a very wise consumer.